There are a lot of secret items that make up some of the best weapons, armor sets, and gear in Crimson Desert, and they are just hidden around the map, extremely easy to miss. If you come over pretty much directly east of the Greymane camp along the river, you will eventually come to a waterfall. On the map, it looks sort of like a bridge going over the river. If you get here and you're at the bottom of it, climb up a bit, and if you're at the top, climb down until you get to this little log area, this area that looks kind of like an entrance to the waterfall, which it is. This is where you can stab through the waterfall to enter it. Just hold shift and right click on PC or R1 and triangle on controller. You'll find a treasure chest inside which contains your new little armor piece or hat, the Boss Bear hat. The Boss Bear hat cannot be upgraded, however, it does come with a little bit of defense, and more importantly, allows you to disguise yourself as a bear. One of the best weapons in Crimson Desert is the one-handed sword, or katana, the Red Needle. A really awesome sword that comes red, even though you can dye it and change it to whatever color you want, but I think it's just really sick. I mean, really with weapons and armor in this game, you can make pretty much anything the best by just changing around the Abyss gear, but the Red Needle is just awesome. We can get it over here in Delizia, which you can wait until the story brings you here super late into the game, or just come here yourself and travel across the map to get here. And at the island that is just slightly off coast, at the Sanctum of Oblation, is where we can actually find the Red Needle. And from the fast travel point nearby that's at the bottom of the hill, it is actually extremely easy to get. There will be a bunch of enemies here. They're pretty difficult, especially if you're under-leveled. But once you get up to the ruins, just at the bottom portion of it, you should be able to see this open doorway from the fast travel point. And once you enter that door to the Sanctum, immediately after entering off to the left-hand side, you can find another room containing a treasure chest, and inside of it is the Red Needle, our new one-handed sword, which is a really cool-looking red katana. If you were paying attention to reviews, IGN gave Crimson Desert a 6 out of 10, but many players think the actual gameplay experience is far better than that. This is very similar to another large open-world action-adventure game, Where Winds Meet, who IGN also gave a 6 out of 10, which was also clearly lower than how players themselves rated the game. Interestingly, this video is sponsored by Where Winds Meet, who just released part 2 of their biggest expansion yet, featuring their new region, Liangzhou. The world of Where Winds Meet is constantly expanding. They're always adding new, incredibly immersive maps that add an entirely new feeling to the game. Every map in here has their own distinct themes, like Chapter 1's desert region. Now you have the complete opposite of that, a frozen, ice-covered map that brings new, beautifully lit cities, new environments to explore, mysteries, and new creatures. Even more, you have the new martial arts and weapons that they've added in the update. We finally have the Hang Blade, which they faithfully recreated from the Hai Tang Dynasty's design, which allows you to deflect and counter any move. The Hang Blade is a ton of fun to use and makes for some awesome combat. It's probably my new favorite weapon in the game. In this new world, you also have the addition of 5 new bosses. The boss fights are pretty epic with music and combat design that both carry strong cultural symbolism and story-driven mechanics. Among them, the Moon-Gazing Maiden is one of the high difficulty bosses in the Liangzhou region, and while she has an elegant classical look and is even called the most beautiful boss, the actual fight is very intense, creating a strong contrast between her visual design and the high-pressure combat. Click on the link down below to grab Where Winds Meet, which is free to play to try out the new map for yourself. Thank you to Where Winds Meet for sponsoring the video. If you want one of the best pieces of Abyss gear in Crimson Desert, you can come over to the river that essentially creates the border between Hernay and Indominus, and up towards where the river intersects and goes around Payloon is a waterfall. If you didn't know, you can enter waterfalls by just using the stab skill that you have unlocked from the very start of the game. To stab, you can hold shift and right click or R1 and triangle on controller. This will take you through the waterfall to the Twilight Grotto Cave, where you'll find a secret treasure chest holding the volcanic eruption Abyss gear. This of course comes installed on a piece of armor, the Scorchflame Plate gloves, and if you want to place it on your own armor, you'll have to go to a witch, and following the witch faction quests will take you to at least some of the witch locations. The way it works is you need to equip the volcanic eruption Abyss gear onto your armor, not the weapon itself, and now it'll work for all of your weapons to cause this big volcanic eruption. Whenever your weapon is imbued in fire, so on the imbue element skill, the first one is elemental turning slash. The turning slash skill is here if you don't know how to do it. On PC, that's right and left click, and the V key to use the elemental version. So hold F3 or right on the D-pad to select the fire element, and right when you release left and right click, mash the V key to perform the imbued turning slash, which will cause the volcanic eruption Abyss gear to take effect.
This is
But while you're down there in that area that you got these Scorchflame gauntlets from, down at the bottom of the waterfall, you can actually go directly across from the cave that you got those from, swim like 10 feet away to another cave directly in front of that waterfall, where you'll find a big golem boss guy called a Grave Walker. I think force palming these guys always just causes them to fall apart and makes the fight a lot easier. Just defeat him, or you might not even be able to finagle it without defeating him. Turn on the 2 torches next to the locked gate to open that gate up, where inside you will find the Sorcerer's Staff. This weapon is fine. We're more so just grabbing it because we're already here, because what we really want to do is actually turn around and climb up above that boss fight area. It's actually directly above and to the right of that gate that we just opened up, where you should find a secret rotating door that is extremely hard to notice. And while climbing the wall, you can press the resist option to shove your arm into it, so that when you force palm, you'll just rotate inwards into this secret treasure chest area, where you can find the Scorchflame Cloak. This is one of my favorite cloaks in the game. And I mean, screw it, you could just keep the Volcanic Eruption Abyss gear on these Scorchflame gauntlets and just get the entire Scorchflame armor set, because the Scorchflame boots can actually be found right behind us at this same location that we got the gauntlets. It's in the same valley, except in the Cascade Grotto Cave. And that cave is found behind the giant waterfall that is a lot easier to see and get to. Just approach it from the pathway on the left. If you're like me and didn't realize for like the first 100 hours that the yellow XP bar beside the compass rewards you with Abyss artifacts, then you might be confused on what the XP Abyss gear does on these Scorchflame boots. Basically, it just fills that up 10% faster. Like I said, every time you fill that up, you get an Abyss artifact. The Scorchflame helmet is also pretty awesome looking, and it's found in a different area, still pretty close by, just slightly northeast up the river at the Stonewell Farm. You'll see this tower-like building with a balcony off in the corner. Hop onto that balcony and open up the door to find a treasure chest with the Scorchflame plate helmet. Now we can head almost directly east, where we can find the Scorchflame plate armor at the Golden Trading Post. You'll find some parallel double steps followed by some more stairs going up, but we want to go in between those 2 lower staircases into this trick door that you actually need to crouch through, where we'll find, guess what? Another treasure chest. Bada boom, bada bing, Scorchflame plate armor. I mentioned how a lot of the weapons aren't that different from each other because the stats are so similar on a lot of them that you can use Abyss gear to make them relatively the same. Well, that does not apply to the Vow of the Dead King, like this secret legendary halberd, or I don't know, the game kind of just counts it as a spear, I think. But it is insane. Crit damage is probably the best thing to have for damage in Crimson Desert, and the Vow of the Dead King comes with a default level 3 crit rate, not including any Abyss gear that you toss on it. I'm not sure if there's any other weapon that comes with a crit rate that high. Plus you have those Abyss gear slots, which it comes with 3 different Abyss gears already mounted on it to give 4% extra damage against humanoids, mighty foes, which is any boss enemy with a health bar taking up the top portion of your screen, and walkers, which are all like the giant like ice and stone golem like enemies. So those guys are really getting like at least 8% extra damage. You can get the Vow of the Dead King by coming over to Payloon in between the A and I in Payloon on the map at the Frost-Veiled Castle Ruins. If you're coming from the fast travel point up on the mountains overlooking the castle ruins, it shouldn't be too hard to just ignore all of the surrounding enemies and drop straight down where you need to go, which is into this staircase that doesn't look like much from the outside, but actually leads down into this like big secret passage that has quite a few traps in here trying to keep you out. The spikes will eat you alive if you land straight in the middle of them, but you can really just hold jump to glide over them, then run over into the next room, which you can just again glide over the giant hole in the ground. Just try not to get burnt from the flame trap on the other side like I do here, and just wait patiently for the fire to go away. Once you get past that, immediately to our right, you can just avoid those annoying dune worms for now, and enter on into that hallway, and light up the old torch to drop the gate, to find yourself what I think is the best weapon in Crimson Desert. One of the best armor sets in Crimson Desert, and one of my favorite armors in the game, is the Frozen Heart plate armor. And you can get all of the different pieces to the complete set, kind of hidden throughout the map. Well, really, they're mostly in Delesia, this region of the map that you can come to later game, at least if you're following the story, but if you're not, you can come here straight from the start of the game. It's just gonna be a pretty dang long journey. To get our first piece, the Frozen Heart plate gloves, you can come over here to the main city here off the coast, and we're going specifically to Port Delesia. There's the only port in the city, and if you come over to one of the docks, it's immediately in front of this big ship, and we can hop down into this abandoned looking blacksmith area, at least there's a grindstone here, where you can crawl into this tunnel and break some boards, leading to a treasure chest. And inside of that treasure chest is the frozen heartplate gloves. They've got pretty dang good attack and defense, but also come with two different abyss gears, the Frost Ward 1 to give you ice resistance level 1, and Blessing of the Earth to give you a 10% chance to gain an additional ore when mining. The default abyss gears on these gloves are okay. Over towards like the main giant castle that you'll find when you get here, Delizia Castle. We're going to be starting at the entrance because we can find the chest piece, the frozen heartplate armor, just in front of the castle at the like southern end. I'm sitting here on top of the tower to the main gate, the main entrance to the castle. And from here you can kind of just fly across. You don't have to get an extra boosting jump like I am. Just fly across towards the actual castle, where before you even start flying, you should be able to see this like protruding square of stone carved out towards the bottom of the castle wall. This is a hidden door to like a secret room in the castle. To open it up, you can either just force palm while you're flying and have the wall kind of push you in there. That's what I did at first because I had no idea the actual way that you're supposed to do this. I guess my brain was just not fully working, but to open up these secret doors, you just cling onto the one side that goes into the wall, and while you're holding the wall, it gives you the option to resist. If you hold resist while you're clinging onto a wall and then you force palm, it will not fling you backwards. It gives you the option to resist down at the bottom, but on PC that's the Q key. From there, you should be inside of this secret area where you should find a treasure chest containing the frozen heartplate armor. Just south of where we grabbed the red needle earlier, over on the island off of the coast of Delizia, is where you will find the heartplate boots. They are hidden inside of Marni's laboratorium gate wall, the southern wall over near the water. I headed here directly from the nearby fast travel point, and from there it's pretty easy to find. You'll find some pipes leading to it and kind of hiding it, but if you hop on up and once you're clinging onto the wall here, just like I said before, hold resist to shove your arm into the wall to prevent you from flinging off when you use force palm to spin the wall around, inserting you into this secret room. Here you will find your next treasure chest containing the next piece of frozen heartplate armor, the boots. The frozen heartplate armor boots. These are like one of the most important items to the armor set. It massively increases the damage and the attack that you deal. And on the frozen heartplate set, it comes with abyss gear to give you 3 additional stats to defense and a level 1 movement speed boost. Sadly, the frozen heartplate cloak is locked to the story. At least that's the only way I've found to be able to get it, and it is pretty late into the story during Chapter 11's Fortress Keys mission, where you will be rewarded with the frozen heart cloak from a major boss fight. It should be impossible to miss. Around that same time in the quests in Chapter 11, or actually you can grab it early before you do any of those quests. Either way, to get the next item or piece of armor, you'll have to come over to Marni's Mysterium. This is where you can grab the Marni Laser Helm, a special piece of armor that shoots a laser beam at anyone that you lock onto nearby. It's found just up the main entrance path that goes slightly uphill, found in a nearby room. If you're taking it before the story brings you here, there will be enemies, and you'll either have to go in and grab this silently or defeat any enemies that are pursuing you before the game will allow you to pick it up. Once you have the helmet equipped on your armor, either by going into your inventory or the quick menu, you will also have to equip the ability if you want to be able to use it. And you do that with the quick menu that you typically change your food and consumables around with, which is F3 on PC or right on the D-pad for controller. Just make sure you selected the Marni Laser Helm there in that menu on your special equipment slot, and then once you've got it equipped, just press the B key on PC or L2 and R2 on controller to enter that cool little scan mode. For every enemy that you aim at, it should place a lock-on symbol like a little diamond onto them automatically. You don't have to press anything to actually mark them. And then once you release it, it'll laser beam any of those enemies. Since we're already here, we can also grab a secret weapon that you will easily miss over in the nearby aeronautical research base. Once you're here, you should be able to get to this higher up second floor area where you can see a tower off in the corner. Climb up there and enter the tower where you will find the spear inside standing behind the staircase. It is really easy to miss if you're not paying attention to the compass, but that blip only pops up when you're like really close anyways. This weapon shoots out a gust of wind from the tip of its spear, which has 5 charges for it, and it only takes 5 seconds to cool down, but has a big downside. It has durability. But that's really just a partial downside because you can actually upgrade it to not have any durability limit at all. To upgrade it, you'll need to head to Grimnir, the guy that you meet early on in the story over at the Kilnden workshop where you crafted your first Kuku pot. But before you can upgrade the Propeller Spear to turn it into the Kuku variant, you need to complete the Sanctum of Absolution in order to obtain the regular Kuku Spear blueprint, which you need to open up this portion of the Kuku workshop blueprint tree. And also it's one of the ingredients that you'll need to craft in order to craft the spear. But you don't just complete the Sanctum, you need to complete the Sanctum and then do the secret puzzle at the end of it by reflecting light from your sword into the blue jewel that you should now be able to power. You need to take your sword out into your blinding light reflection stance, which you do with control and left click or L1 and R1, and then press control or L1 to reflect the light into the center each time the upper smaller blue circular jewel hovers over a lighter colored square. So let go of L1 or control before the jewel hits the stone background. You're basically just filling these squares with light, and you don't want the light hitting anything else. This will unlock the Kuku Spear blueprint over at the Kilnden workshop, the Kuku workshop. And don't forget to grab the power core to seal it into your Kuku pot, which pops up out of the Sanctum. And then you just want to do the same thing for the Sanctum of Atonement to be rewarded with the Kuku Propeller Spear blueprint, the actual thing we really need to craft. Defeat all of the enemies there at the Sanctum, grab the 2 Abyss pieces by using your bungee gum on them and sealing them into your Kuku pot. These pieces are marked on the compass. Go to the main core area where you place these at the Sanctum, take them out of the Kuku pot by clicking on it and discarding them, and then glue the pillar back on, as well as the cube that is missing in the center. This is a million times easier to do if you unlock the Force Current skill. Once you've completed the main Sanctum puzzle, do the same secret puzzle that we just went over, which will reward you with the Kuku Propeller Spear crafting recipe. To use it, head back to the Kilnden workshop and speak to Grimnir again, where you should see it there able to craft. This will also give you an immense buff to the Propeller Spear by taking it from 5 charges to 10 for the air blast, and reduces the cooldown from 5 seconds to 2, taking it from being a pretty average weapon to a straight up insane one. Oh yeah, to complete these Sanctums, you also need to speak to the witch who owns that Sanctum, or who sends you on the quest to complete that Sanctum. All you have to do is meet them. For the Sanctum of Absolution, it's just the witch that you meet in the main story and come to in the witch's faction quests, who is called the Witch of Wisdom. And for the Sanctum of Atonement, you will need to speak to the Witch of Kindness. The Witch of Kindness is found over here in Payloon, somewhat near the Silver Wolf Cave, and you'll also see the Wayward Woods Witch's hideout. That is not where you need to go. Instead, she's found right next to the Silver Wolf Cave, and on your way here you'll see a bunch of wolves nearby, but you'll find the actual Witch of Kindness huddled underneath this makeshift tent, and all you have to do is light the fire. From there, she'll move over to just south of Silver Wolf Mountain, in this little frozen lake lying inside of this mountain valley. Inside is where you'll find the Witch of Kindness, and after speaking to her, she will task you with finding all 5 of her Sanctums, one of them being the Sanctum of Atonement. If you have not spoken to the Witch of Kindness, it just won't let you complete the puzzle in the Sanctum. By the way, at each Sanctum is a hidden treasure chest, and at the Sanctum of Atonement, which we just went to, is where you can get what I think is one of the best looking shields in the game, the Mirror of the Night Shield. And to get it, all you have to do is, from the main area where you do the puzzle at in the Sanctum, you'll see the treasure chest locked behind the gates. To drop them down and open up that room, all you have to do is light the 2 torches that are nearby. One of my other favorite shields in Crimson Desert is the Ancient Shield, which is like a legendary shield that comes stacked with 2 pieces of Abyss gear. To get the Ancient Shield, you can come over to the Sanctum of Faith, back over here in Delesia, and all you have to do is reflect light off of your sword, or use any other source of fire to burn this bramble stuff to clear our path over to the hidden treasure chest here at this Sanctum, which will contain the Ancient Shield. You can get a golden fishing rod in Crimson Desert, which technically isn't legendary, but I mean, it might as well be. It has an effect that allows you to automatically reel in fish, which makes it probably the best fishing rod in the game. I mean, fishing rods in this game don't make much of a difference when it comes to actually catching things, but this one at least makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't actually automatically catch the fish. It just allows you to avoid the reel in animation. You still have to know how to fish, and I went over that in my tips video, but with this fishing rod, you can just hold X instead of rotating the right analog stick, or on PC instead of having to spin the scroll wheel, which just feels so awkward to continuously do. With this, you can just hold the spacebar instead. But to get this gold fishing rod called the Claw, you can get it in 2 different ways actually. You can get it from the secret trader, like the wandering vendor guy, Partrigio, who you've probably seen wandering around. He's dressed in blue, has the big old pack on his back. Kinda hard, but also easy to miss. If you get his reputation to max by giving him gifts, he will give you the Claw fishing rod. He is a completely random spawn though. He could be seemingly anywhere, but most people seem to run into him at night. Generally though, he's in a big marked location. I've found him multiple times in Hernand, also on the road just outside of it near the entrance, as well as at the Greymane camp, which seems to be one of the better places to find him, and a lot of people seem to run into him more so at nighttime at the Greymane camp than anywhere else. But you can also get the Claw fishing rod a second alternative way down at the southern coast, not too far from the starting area, over to the west of the Steel Mountains. Now, there's probably multiple locations with these NPCs, but over here you'll find a giant waterfall. It's between like a mercenary or pirate little outpost where you have a bunch of enemies there, and like the major settlement off to our left. But you'll see the giant waterfall coming down into this small little opening, which you would not expect a dock to be because we're already on land over here. But over there are a couple of NPCs fishing. One of them is called an item fisher. You might notice that this guy is holding the golden fishing rod. You can scare that guy by using a combat ability nearby or just fishing next to him, or you can go aggro those nearby enemies, run back over to the fishermen, and they should scare them all away. Now you have no witnesses to stealing your new secret, basically legendary fishing rod. By the way, once it's on the ground, it might look like a normal, ordinary fishing rod. At first, I thought you could not get the Claw fishing rod in this way, because I thought it just turned into a normal rod. But when you pick it up, it should be the golden fishing rod that you can use to automatically reel in your fish. But that is pretty much it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Crimson Desert videos. Thank you to Where Winds Meet for sponsoring the video. You can click on the link down below to try Where Winds Meet for yourself and check out the new update. See ya!